nice user interface pays attention to every single element, big or small. And that's exactly what this series is about. We are breaking down the most important UI elements so you can design interfaces that feel intuitive and effortless. In this episode, we're tackling selection controls, checkboxes, radio buttons, and toggles. You'll learn when to use each one, their best practices, and key design considerations. If you're not subscribed to the channel yet, make sure to do so that you're notified when the new episodes are live. All my sources are linked in the description, but without further ado, let's get started. Number 1, checkbox. A checkbox is a UI element that allows users to navigate between two states, checked and unchecked. They offer a lot of flexibility because users can select one, multiple, or no items from a list. You typically see checkboxes in one of these three forms: a standalone checkbox, a checkbox list, or a nested checkbox list. Let's break these down. A standalone checkbox is on its own, not a part of a list. Think of it as a simple yes or no decision. For example, when you're creating a new account, you often have to agree to the terms and conditions. So you have to check that box in order to proceed. Standalone checkboxes, they often stand out visually because they're different from the other elements on the page. Number 2, a checkbox list. I believe this is the most common checkbox use you're going to see out there. So each checkbox works independently. You can select one, multiple, or no items from that list. For example, you are on DoorDash ordering pizza, and you can add toppings. In some cases, a selection may be required, so you must meet a minimum amount of selections there, or it's going to be an extra thing. Often, when at least one is required, you're going to see a red asterisk or a written specification next to the label saying something like required. Nested checkbox list. This is when a parent checkbox controls a group of children checkboxes. So the expected behavior is that by selecting the parent checkbox, all the children are automatically going to be selected. Usually, when some of the children are selected, but not all of them, the parent checkbox enters an intermediate state, usually shown with a dash instead of a check mark. Number 2, radio buttons. Unlike checkboxes, radio buttons are for choosing specifically one item from a list. When the user selects one, any previously selected item is automatically going to be deselected. It's one or the other, never one and another. So let's say you're answering a survey. How often do you exercise? It doesn't make sense for you to select more than one of these options. So a radio button in this context would make sense and not a checkbox. Number 3, toggles. Toggles are ideal when something has two states. So let's say turn something on and off. They're commonly used in mobile interfaces. Some examples are if you want to turn on the airplane mode or if you want to switch between the light theme and the dark theme. But there are a couple of rules. The thumb moves to the other side of the toggle when clicked. That ensures that the selected stage is very clear. If you look online, you may be able to find some toggles that they have a 3-stage approach. However, it can be quite hard making that visual distinction. So my personal preference is to use toggles when we have 2 states. Another key rule is for you to avoid placing text inside the toggles. The label or the category to which the toggle relates to should be the one specifying what it is that you're changing. However, sometimes we do see icons inside the toggle. All right, so let's talk about the differences in terms of behavior and also in terms of the visual aspect of these 3 elements. According to material design, there are 3 specific aspects that you should keep in mind when designing selection controls. The first one is familiarity. Users should be able to easily identify these controls and be able to use them without needing extra instruction. The second aspect is scannability. At a glance, the user should be able to identify the available options and also the ones that are currently selected. And lastly, efficiency. The layout should make it easy to compare and also select options. So checkboxes have an outline square when unselected, and this square becomes filled in with a check mark when selected. The edges of the square can be slightly rounded, but never use circles for checkboxes. Radio buttons, on the other hand, are circular. So the convention is an outlined circle when not selected, and then this outlined circle gains a filled circle inside once selected. So for toggles, you're going to have an element that indicates the state in which the toggle is in one of the sides of the toggle. Usually when the toggle indicates that it is activated, often you're going to see a color change, which is quite helpful. So we have muted colors for when the toggle is off, and then a high contrast of colors when it's on. For checkboxes and radio buttons, those are best when organized vertically for scannability. So for checkboxes, it's going to vary depending on the type. So if it's standalone, it's going to be mutually exclusive. So yes or no. For the checkbox list, the items are going to be independent. So the behavior of one is not going to change if you check another. And for nested checkboxes, the parent selection is going to be dependent on the child selections. So if the user checks the parents, all the children are going to be selected. And if at least one of the children is not selected, you're most likely to be using the intermediate state for the parent, as I mentioned, in which the check mark is going to be replaced with a dash. Radio buttons are mutually exclusive. You can really only have one selection. So if one of the items were previously selected and then you click and select another one, that previous selection is not going to be there anymore. And toggles, they're also mutually exclusive. So it's a matter of on and off. And that's a wrap on selection controls. Now that you know when to use checkboxes, radio buttons, and toggles, drop a comment with the element you'd like me to bring next. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like and also to subscribe if you're new here. And in the meantime, YouTube thinks you're gonna like this video here. See you there. Happy designing!